glad that you are. Good morning, it's Meredith Shaw. And there was a recent study that came out saying how millennials and Gen Z have more than $2,300 in credit card debt and now have chosen to delay big milestones, obviously, like owning a home. So they're turning to non-traditional real estate strategies that go beyond the bank of mom and dad and are opening new doors for home ownership in 2024. So here to tell us more is real estate expert and agent Gillian Oxley. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a big conversation because home ownership feels very far away for so many people, including young people especially, as they carry this debt. So how are we approaching this? You've got some strategies and they're non-traditional in terms of home ownership.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that getting into the market for the first time now is very different than when we started out. So being a little bit more creative about potentially buying a house with a friend. Maybe you've been roommates for a long time and you think you've both been saving, but neither one of you have enough. So buying a house that might be a duplex and maybe have some rental income in a lower level. We often refer to that as house hacking.
Yeah.
That's certainly one strategy. Another one, again, co-ownership with a laneway suite, for example, or
I'm seeing a lot of that. Laneway, there's been some opening up in terms of making that a little bit easier for people to do, to build at least. And so that co-ownership, meaning you're buying a property that has that available, so you're living kind of together but separately almost?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And interestingly, you know, we have a listing right now where the main house is a wonderful family house, but then there's a completely separate third floor apartment. And for many people looking at it, they're thinking about our kids are coming back from university, they're graduating, rent is so expensive, maybe they live here, and it helps them get a leg up, saving some money until they can buy their own house. So again, separate but together.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And even if you think about the other way in terms of home ownership and having parents move in with the children and that kind of thing in terms of the senior living situation, it's really sandwiching and kind of going both ways.
I think we're seeing a full circle come back to that idea of multi-generational living. You know, certainly that was the way it was many years ago, and then we got into 18 and you're out the door, and now we're thinking about how do we all stay together and support each other. So
yeah, and you make a good point because it almost seems like that 18 and out the door, that represented success, both for the 18-year-old and also for the parents.
For
But
sure.
I feel like we're really flipping that around these days just from sheer mechanics. A couple more hacks you have in terms of pre-construction buying. That's something that I think people are familiar with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a great way to spread out a down payment. You know, find an area that you love, make sure that you work with a builder that has a great reputation, and then you can sort of plot out down payments over time until the building's ready. And normally by the time you move in, your investment's already gone up.
And when you say the great reputation, like how do people check that? How are you kind of going through that in terms of checks and balances? Obviously working with a great agent like yourself, but how are people protecting themselves in that way?
Yeah, you want to keep an eye out for builders that have built several buildings that have a good reputation. If you are concerned, maybe you don't know enough about it, an easy thing to do, God bless Google, you just go online, see what buildings they've done, go down and talk to some people that live there and say, have you had any problems? You know, if there been any kind of assessments after you moved in, you really want to watch out for that because that can really kill you if you're a first-time buyer.
Yeah, that can really add up. When in doubt, Google it. I love that. Okay. Rent-to-own programs. That's something that I'm not totally familiar with.
There's a company called Key, and they've been taking off slowly but steadily. And it's a program where part of your rent goes towards a down payment. So instead of, for example, let's say the rent was supposed to be $3,000 a month, you might pay $4,000 a month and $1,000 is automatically saved. What it does for the seller is the down payment, you initially invest up to 3%, and that's immediately released to the seller, but you're living in the property and you're renting to own it over time.
Okay, good to be familiar with that.
Yeah.
And if we think about that bank of mom and dad, which not everyone have access to for sure, what are some other ways that people can get into the market in that sense?
With the bank of mom and dad, I think when we look statistically, a lot of young buyers are actually still relying on their parents to help them out. and the concept of giving now instead of holding your, inheritance or anything you might leave to your children to help them get a leg up is certainly, I think it's more than a third of first-time buyers have help from their parents.
And those are statistics that, again, not everyone does. There's certainly privilege inherently in
For
that.
sure.
But good to know and to be speaking about, both for parents and children, not to feel any sense of like, oh, I'm doing this wrong.
Yeah. There's also, first-time buyers have a tax credit. So that's important to research and have information about. CHMC gives you an opportunity as a first-time buyer to put less down as a deposit or down payment. So instead of having to put down 20% on a purchase, maybe it's 10. So make sure you look into all those options and talk to your agent about it.
Yeah, for sure. Staying very informed, staying open, and of course, aligning with the right agent. Where can people find more info about you, Gillian?
Oh, thanks. We're on Instagram at Oxley Real Estate, and Oxley Real Estate's our website as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. Not the only way to do it. Not the only way to do it. More Breakfast Television coming up after this. We are actually celebrating you. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're